Hey guys, I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop Zelda Dungeon Mailbag, where I answer your Zelda questions. And that sounded like a sales pitch. Sean Pennington asks, you mentioned in the last video that Ocarina of Time was not your favorite Zelda game. Which is, and why? I figured I'd have to follow up on this from the last video because I said Ocarina of Time wasn't my favorite game, and I figured, some people would probably consider that sacrilegious. I mean, not to insult the fans or Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time is a great game. However, it's true. It's not my favorite game. My favorite game in the entire series is Majora's Mask. And my reasons for that is kind of, it's personal taste. I like the game's storytelling, its style, its characters, its themes, just generally better. And I also thought it was more unique. It just appealed to me. One thing about it that I loved was the storytelling. You had all these characters that, despite being insignificant, I guess, NPCs, insignificant in that they didn't do anything in the world, they were just people. You had all these NPCs, and even though they were insignificant, they were just regular people, they all were part of the story, and they were all important in a way because they all related to Majora and all his shenanigans. It's like, Ganondorf's like, I'm going to destroy / conquer the world. And Majora's like, I'm just gonna mess around. I guess Majora's more sinister in a way. Anyway, so it's just my personal reasons, not to knock Ocarina of Time. It just, Majora's Mask appealed to me better. Second question, Master Link asks, a lot of people rank Majora's Mask as one of the top, if not the top Zelda games for its depth, storyline, and uniqueness. The one thing bugs many other people, as well as myself, the time system. What is your advice for people that really want to enjoy the game but cannot get used to the time system? Well, I think there's a bit of this in that the time system, despite the fact that I liked it, it's a thing where you either love it or you hate it or you just don't care. I don't think it's something where you can make yourself like it. I think if you don't like it, unless you decide to change your mind, you're not going to start liking it later. There's no way you can. There's no magic formula to make you like it. To get through the game, I might be able to recommend a couple things. First off, play the inverted Song of Time and slow the game so you don't have to freak out and rush. In fact, I wouldn't recommend playing on normal speed for just about anyone, except maybe hardcore gamers who really want the challenge. I played through with the inverted Song of Time the entire time. I was a coward. And I would consider it by taking it a little bit at a time. There's like segments where first you get some items, then you can do the Song of Time and save. Then you can find the song that you need to get into the dungeon. It's always a song. And then you can save, and then you can do the dungeon, and then you can save. Take it in segments, and don't try to get it all done at once. And yeah, that's about all I can say. Maybe try to treat it a little more like an action game in that you don't have forever to do everything, but that's not the best advice, because this is Zelda. This is Zelda. This is not Devil May Cry. Dark Rose 137 asks, do you think that Nintendo should focus on returning to the basics of Zelda, such as making hints not so obvious and more challenging? Yeah, that's actually my pet peeve about the games in a way, especially like with the recent games, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, because basically, every game that came out recently is just so easy. It's like, sadly, painfully easy. I mean, it's like, normally a game is described as painful when it's hard. It is painfully hard. These games were so easy it was painful. And that has to be pretty freaking easy. Or at least it was for me, and I'm a hardcore gamer, so maybe I'm not the best judge. But the point is, like, Wind Waker, none of the bosses were challenging. Twilight Princess, none of the bosses were challenging. Even the puzzles were kind of trivial in a lot of ways. There's not a lot to them, especially in the handheld ones, the DS ones. So I'd like it if they made that harder. I know there's casual gamers who don't like to play really hard games, but I think the game should at least have some challenge factor. Maybe difficulty levels, or as I've mentioned in the past, a second quest that's harder, like a master quest. That would rock. Come on, face it. But I think the hint system with like Navi and Midna, that can stay. In fact, that's one thing that lets you balance the two features, really. Hard and casual gamers being able to access the game. Because with the hint system, you can make it hard, but have it so people can get the hints they need to get through the game. I think that's a kind of a perfect compromise. However, I don't think it should be done like in Twilight Princess, where Midna basically held your hand the whole way. If you took more than 30 seconds solving a puzzle, she's like, "Oh, Link, do this," and of course she'd be talking, I don't know, backwards. What was that? Or something. I don't think that sounded anything like it. Oh my! But at least she wasn't as annoying as Navi. Well, I've never found Navi annoying. Joseph Crowley asks, should Zelda stay in modern medieval times or move on to more advanced civilization? I think that I like the medieval style best, and it's what's classic for the series. I think that, if you don't do that, you can't have the magic and the adventure and the monsters and stuff as much, and that kind of detracts from the feel. I don't ever want it to be futuristic, high-tech, light cars and lightsabers and guns, but I wouldn't mind if they did a steampunk game every once in a while or here and there, especially since a lot of the Zelda games are standalone experiences, so it wouldn't be that out of place for them to do a steampunk game, for example. And they could also explore other styles, in my opinion, other than steampunk to make things fresh. Like Oriental Japanese styles would be interesting as heck. I admit to ripping both those points off from a friend of mine who convinced me of this. Sorry, man. Yeah. Triforce Lion asks, would you like to see the return and even the introduction of tunics with special powers, such as the Zora and Goron tunics in Zelda Wii? Maybe new tunics as well. Maybe tunics that add defense attack boosts, depending on if Nintendo decides to make Zelda Wii more RPG-like. Yeah, I've actually theorized these kinds of things and came up with these sorts of ideas myself. In Twilight Princess, you had the Zora Armor, and unlike in Ocarina of Time, where all it did was let you breathe underwater, well, that was the Zora tunic, but come on, you know what I'm talking about. Unlike in Ocarina of Time, it didn't just let you breathe underwater, you could swim and maneuver underwater, unlike you could normally in the game. I theorize that what if they took this further and you had all kinds of armor that let you have all these different powers? They could even branch it off and make it more like Majora's Mask, where you had all these forms with different powers and maneuvers and traits and abilities. Flying, rolling into a ball, and mowing. Okay, that wouldn't work. The Goron thing wouldn't work with the tunic, but you see my point. You could do that. You could have all these different equipment that let you do different things, and it would diversify the gameplay quite a lot, as well as bring back features of Majora's Mask that people liked. Majora's Mask was a popular game, even though it had things like the time system that people were, frankly, very disturbed by. And emotionally disturbed, and mentally disturbed. But I think everyone loved the mask-changing system. Like, come on, that was cool. So, and I think they could even expand it over to other equipment, like they could have boots and shields and helmets and swords and shields, I think I said that already, and, stuff other than tunics that grant you these kinds of crazy traits. I think that would be really interesting, and I think they should do that, yeah, definitely. Last question. CoolDogs1 asks, we all know that Zelda Twilight Princess was originally designed for the GameCube and was restricted to the GameCube's hardware and media limitations. With the new Zelda, it will not have the same restrictions as the GameCube. What's your opinion on how Nintendo will use this new freedom? Well, first and foremost is, of course, the graphics. Twilight Princess, when it was ported to the Wii, its graphics were not amped up at all. It was the same graphics on the GameCube. So, obviously, we're going to see a better-looking game this time around. Additionally, I think we're going to see changes. The Wiimote will be used, obviously, it's the Wii. But I don't think we're going to see what we had with the last game, where basically it was ported, in that you basically swung your Wiimote around like a crazy sword, but no matter what you did, you swing it, and it's like pressing a button. It counts as pressing the sword button. The Wii controls were like pressing buttons, even though you were doing elaborate motions. In some ways, that feels fake and lacking. Obviously, that's going to be changed with Wii Motion Plus, but I think beyond that, in general, the game is going to be designed with the Wii controls and hardware in mind. I think we're going to see just designs. The game will be designed to work with Wii Motion Plus, and it will just all make sense and fit together seamlessly. I think that's what we're going to see different. That's my opinion. Alright, that's it for this time, guys. Be sure to send your questions to the email address in the description, or it could be over there, depending on if you're on the site or on YouTube. Alright, see you guys next time.